Randy Pitchford just did something that can only be described in business finance as something remarkably uncalculated and stupid. He has, at this point, berated, humiliated, shamed, and blatantly honestly attacked the Borderlands fan base in general. Now, granted, Randy is not always a complete moron. He is a certified moron, don't get me wrong. But Randy does not just randomly crash out. There's always a reason. When it came to Borderlands 3, it was the poor sales. When it came to Borderlands the movie, it was the fact that not a single person watched this. And now, with Borderlands 4, we know the reason why this is happening. And I had a hunch, you had a hunch. And well, the sales are doing as well as you would expect. As well, they're doing better than most of us expected, but it's still not going to be enough. Randy's mad about something else. And boys, if you're a gamer, pat yourselves on the back because I'm proud of us. I am proud of us. Randy is getting mad because people are refunding. That's right. The refunds we have long suspected that are going absolutely through the roof for Borderlands 4. Over the last 10 years ago, refunding was not a real thing that gamers did. Maybe 1 in 20 gamers refunded 20 years ago. It was not that kind of a culture, but now it is. With the absolute abhorrent amount of slop and Vogue, and God forbid, Vogue slop that we have gotten in the last 10 years, gamers are refunding like crazy. Everyone is refunding if they don't like the game. It's no longer just sitting in your Steam library they're collecting dust. No, people are pressing that refund button. Honestly, I want Steam to implement an option to see if a person has refunded next to their review. Because that would just stoke the flames even so much more. It would be absolutely amazing. And that's what Randy is crashing out about. Because now we're even seeing videos about that you should refund Borderlands 4. People have already been saying this a lot, but now there's literally videos popping left, right, and center about Borderlands 4 needing to be refunded. Every day that passes and the first day hype gets diminished, it's getting worse and worse for Borderlands 4, boys. Absolutely insane.
It's a tale as old as most modern video game engines. Video game releases in practically an unfinished state due to bugs or lack of optimization, and it has happened once again. In this case, it's a bit more complicated because I have been playing a lot of Borderlands 4, and I actually think it's pretty damn good. At least it's the best that Borderlands has been, in my opinion, since...
For a shooter, I would actually agree. Story-wise, I mean, even the villains of Borderlands 3 have more on-screen presence and character than Borderlands 4.
Borderlands 2, which was the last one that I invested a lot of time into. I have played pretty much all of them and they never really hooked me again, but a lot of what they've done with Borderlands 4 has. I think that at the core, this is a really good one of those. It's not the type of game that will change your mind if you haven't been into the idea before, but it does refine most of the things that Borderlands has done right and does it as right as it has been done in the past. It also changes a lot of the tone of the series to just be a bit more adult and better in many ways, reducing a lot of the annoyance.
Adult doesn't mean better. In this case, adult seems zoomer humor. I'm not gonna lie, it seems pretty bad. I'm not sure what part of this are we gonna call adult per se. It seems stupid. Most of the characters are unhinged, to say the least,
that the series had kind of relied on and trades that in for some other things. And still, despite being kind of addicted to it and just playing a ton of it and having a lot of fun, I cannot recommend Borderlands 4 to pretty much anybody. And yes, that does have to do with some absolutely atrocious...
Yeah. You have people, by the way, from consoles saying, "Oh no, my PlayStation is doing great. My Xbox is doing great." Yeah, I believe you. Would a console peasant lie to us? Of course not. That's crazy.
Performance that makes you question if anybody tested this game at all. And while we're at it, bonus points for the CEO of Gearbox, Randy Pitchford, making a complete fool of himself and insulting his customers and basically gamers in general.
Wait. He had the community note of that. Every PC gamer must accept the reality of the relationship between their hardware and what the software they are running is doing. The publisher of a game is responsible for providing accurate recommended and minimal specs, since the consumers have absolutely no way to check how the game is going to run. Oh no, Randy, you absolute clown.
And basically gamers in general, over and over again, relentlessly, ever since those problems have cropped up. So look, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna talk about those performance issues, and that's going to be marked in the chapters below, because hopefully those things have been fixed in the future. And after we're done with that and Randy Pitchford's kind of response to it, I'm going to give you a review of Borderlands 4 that hopefully will still be valid in a while, in an ideal scenario where those performance issues have been fixed. By the way, hi, I'm Mug, and if you're new here, welcome, and if you're not new,
if you think this is important, then like the video. That's the best way, and I can guarantee you more people are gonna get this video. Takes almost no time from your part, and if you think these things matter and they are important and more people should know about them, like the video. It helps a lot. And if you're watching on a computer non-thing, a phone, these things are called phones, then press the hype button, because that's probably like a super big thing now for YouTube.
here, welcome back. It's great to see you, and you're looking fantastic, and with no need for nanite or ray tracing. If you like the video at any point, make sure to like the video, because it helps it spread throughout the YouTube algorithm. And if you like what I do, the way that I cover video games, news, reviews, essays, all sorts of things, maybe consider subscribing, but you could do that towards the end of the video once you're convinced that what I do is worth your time. Let's catch a ride. So let me preface all of this by saying that between some of the updates that have happened and tweaking a lot of the settings on Borderlands 4, I've gotten the game to run pretty well, at least pretty stable. You might be wondering, if it's running well for me, why would I complain about performance? And that's because I consider myself a reviewer. I consider myself as close to a journalist as I could be without actually being a journalist, because I believe in standards. Most people...
Hey, listen, Luke Steffens and Mr. Matty do reviews for games, and they literally say, well, on average, their reviews are less useful than IGN. So that says a lot, but they're considered reviews. So, I mean, I am also definitely a journalist. In fact, I'm the best journalist around. Because, I mean, it's a self-made title at this point that holds no value. So, you know, we're all journalists if I think about it.
Are not running an i9 and a 4090. According to Steam's user surveys, most people are running a 4060 followed by a 3060 of NVIDIA's GPUs, and that only accounts for 9% of the player base. The amount of people running a 4090 or the similar 5080 to 5090s are about 1%. My performance is not indicative of most people's, and if I'm struggling to run the game and have to tinker with it, most people are not able to play it in what I would consider a satisfactory manner. It's just kind of boring, man. I don't know what else to tell you. Frames go down and experience go down as well. The game can't really handle a lot of what's going on, and what makes it even more confusing.
It's absolutely crazy that this game truly cannot handle what's going on, considering, I mean, technically this is the best graphics Borderlands has ever had. But at the same time, this is not, you know, it does not have, these graphics don't have such juice requirements from the systems. Because they're pretty plain, they're pretty basic.
Is that it's not a game that really looks very graphically demanding. It doesn't look all that different from previous Borderlands entries, which means that it's very highly stylized and it does not require things like ray tracing or something like that to look good. And still somehow not even win chaos of thousands.
Also, we can talk about this game not looking good or looking good, but the reality is the cartoony look is outdated at this point. This does not feel like an Unreal Engine 5 game, and some people are going to be shocked. Wait, this is Unreal Engine? Yes, this somehow is.
Thousands of explosions are
Which is half of the problem also true.
happening just when you're exploring the open world. You will see your frames drop. Now, Gearbox has said that they're working on it, but when that will happen and if it will be good is a completely different question. For now, what we have heard both from Gearbox and from Randy Pitchford.
By the way, gameplay-wise, it seems like if you just increase the speed of a bunch of abilities so that they didn't lock you in an animation, would be so much better as a game. Because a lot of animations are just really fucking awkward and stupid.
More on that in just a minute, is that you should use things like DLSS and frame generation.
For example, Amon is a great example. Look at this.
Is that you
look, what the fuck is happening with his weapon? Look.
And the Pitchford, more on that.
What the hell is going on here? And now look at this.
Just a minute.
Look, he gets the thing back and it turns into 3 fucking orbs. Like, whoever designed that needs to be fired and removed from the game industry in general. That is horrendous.
You should use things like DLSS and frame generation, which are things that specifically with frame generation, not even everybody has access to. But the idea that
I still don't know what DLSS is. I just have heard the name. I have no idea what that does.
we have to rely on these crutches to make the game run well at all, and that it does to some degree impact the visual fidelity, not to mention a whole host of other problems that come with it of just how much are we relying on these upscaling technologies just to get mediocre looking games on Unreal Engine 5, or in the case of Borderlands, highly stylized games that can look great but definitely don't look like they are here to set the world on fire, and definitely shouldn't set your GPU on fire. How are we getting terrible performance on these games to the point that it feels like we're expecting everybody to use these technologies in order to get a baseline?
How are we getting this is a simple answer. The reality is there was a huge switch in the games industry for vocation a long time ago. And the biggest downfall of Vogue, why this ideology is so stupid, is it doesn't really promote people with talent. It promotes people to get hired, get raises, get better job positions, move up the ladder, who have the right opinions. That's pretty much it. So the result of Vogue is not only the political leanings and, you know, the implications of check boxes, it's also the fact that the people working on this stuff are just really bad at their jobs. I wouldn't be surprised if there's not a single person at Gearbox who actually understands how to even optimize. I would not be surprised about that.
Decent performance, and even with that it comes with a lot of tweaking in order to get it working. I cannot recommend Borderlands 4 on PC for the very simple reason that you don't know if the game will run well for you, but odds are it won't.
But you can refund, and this is why Randy Pitchford specifically said people need to play the game for more than 15 minutes. That's an actual thing that he said. That's a quote.
Will that change? I would probably say so. I'd bet money that it will improve over time, but that
also, I have seen the sniper rifle before. I mean, dude, it's just atrocious. This is a sniper rifle. If he puts down the scope, you can't see where you're shooting because of this autistic way of, you know, a firing line, the tracer line. I don't know what this is supposed to even be called at this point. You can't see where you're shooting. This is a sniper rifle, by the way. That is wild, okay? There's so many things just absolutely wrong. But the Borderlands franchise is strong, okay? There's so many things wrong with the gameplay. The story's complete whack and garbage and Vogue. And, well, the classes are boring. There's so much bad, but the reality is, at the same time, it's like, If I'm gonna buy a looter shooter, it's Borderlands 4, ironically. Though I'm gonna buy it for a massive discount of 80% minimum. But still, Borderlands 4 is the only looter shooter on the market. Can you imagine any other looter shooter? I can't. Disney too. Hell, I'm not. Bro, I'd rather give money to fucking Randy than to Bungie. At least Randy's not gonna sell me a shade of blue. Just not even the full color, a shade for $20, okay? At least that it's not gonna be that bad.
Doesn't mean you should run out and spend money on it right now. Rather, I'd say you should probably wait for a sale. And the game is good enough that I would actually say that waiting for some package down the line with the DLC included will be.
I imagine if we check the comments on this video, people are gonna agree. Yeah, maybe we'll buy this on a 90% discount.
A heck of a,
which is happening, which is, by the way, happening on Christmas. Be sure about that one.
Good time and probably a heck of a good deal. Now, what about consoles? Well, consoles are kind of even worse. We've already had issues with the fact that the FOV on consoles is incredibly low to get performance to work basically at all. And then beyond that, we're now starting to see a lot of people who are reaching endgame, basically bringing the game down to its knees at 1 FPS, just not working basically at all when some of the more complex things are happening, and it doesn't even matter if you're running it on a PS5 Pro. It also seems to be suffering from memory leaks.
Hey, listen, okay? That Concord tax is a tax, but that doesn't mean your tax dollars are gonna go in good places. That PS Pro Concord tax you paid, it's just there as tax, okay?
Meaning that the longer that the game is running, the worse that the performance goes and you need to restart it, which doesn't sound like the end of the world, but this is why I said, did anybody test this? How is it possible that by playing the game for around 2 to 3 hours, your performance just goes down across the board no matter what you're doing on the fixed hardware of console? On top of that, the reaction to all of this from the company, or at least from Randy Pitchford, has been absolutely disastrous. He has blamed gamers for not having strong enough computers. He's told
based clown Randy
people that ask him why these problems are happening to,
when in doubt, when a millionaire, just call someone poor. I'm sure that's gonna work out great.
Go and code their own engine, which is funny enough considering that
he's gonna say what I said. Considering you didn't even do it yourself, you're playing on someone else's engine.
They're not even using their own engine. They're just using Unreal Engine 5. What a shocker. He's been doing hands-on tech support, helping people to fix their settings and saying how to fix the game, including telling people with 5080s that they need to turn on frame generation and recommending people disable fog, which is not a setting in the game. It's actually one of the mods that people have put up on PC that seems to improve performance is taking out the fog. But why is the CEO of Gearbox recommending you do that? Does he not know what settings they put in their own?
Yes, I would be actually surprised if to be fair, again, this is not being on the side of Randy, but if a CEO knows what settings your game has, he's probably a shit CEO, or he's the best CEO that has ever existed. Listen, there's only two scenarios. Either you're Bobby Kotick, or you're GGG, and the vision is not working out currently. Okay.
Own game. A now phenomenally viral tweet from him says every PC gamer must accept the reality of their relationship between their hardware and what the software they are running is doing. And he has said that you wouldn't try to run a monster truck with a leaf blower's engine, as if to say that you should have a better PC because Borderlands 4 is a—
yeah, you poor trash. How does it feel to be poor? Randy hates you, but I do love you. As long as you press the like button on the video. I mean, everything can be arranged.
premium game for premium gamers. Basically, the new equivalent of if you're just a broke boy, say so. This also spirals into a thread talking about how great the game is and the team is and how it's all greatly optimized. And we're not even talking yet about when he went on a rant about how customer support tickets on performance were like only 1,000 people according to his quick maths. And that of that very, very small amount, telling people what settings they should use fixed most issues, as if to gaslight the entire gaming community into believing that this game that everybody that plays it complains about performance no matter the platform doesn't actually have any performance issues. But also, if it does, just buy a better PC, you absolute dumpster broke boy. Thank you, Randy. It really just
Man, Randy's never gonna get old at this point.
fills me with energy and willingness to
Listen, even Pirate Software would not say something this stupid. Now, he would instantaneously start with the fact that he worked 7 years at Blizzard. And did you know that he worked 7 years at Blizzard? It's a very important thing that he doesn't say nearly enough. But I forgot where I'm going with this. Something Pirate Software is a locale, though.
buy every product you make. Randy, I just love this attitude from the people who sell me things. Thank you, Randy. I'm waiting for Aliens Colonial Marines 2. Once people started
Godspeed, so am I.
confronting Randy and telling him that they shouldn't be responsible for the performance of the game or need to be tuning it and modding it and hacking it in order for it to run well, he has now told them that if they don't like it, they should just refund the game, which at this point, I
It's
would
not
recommend you
going well.
just don't buy it. Save yourself a step. Look, I've said it many times and I'll say it again. Randy Pitchford didn't make Borderlands 4. Just like
No, listen. If you buy Borderlands 4, by the way, you have full right to refund it. That's it. No one can tell you it doesn't matter what your reason for refunding it is. You have the right to refund it. And anyone who is trying to tell you shouldn't do that is a piece of shit. Plain and simple. But if you are refunding, I would suggest that you leave a negative review and call the game trash in Steam. So, let's actually check. I don't know what's currently the status on it. Borderlands 4 Steam. Oh, DB, let's see. 62% like ratio. Let's actually look at the graph. It's been a while, hasn't it, boys? I'm going to share the screen, so give me a second. There we go. Okay, let's look at this. 62%. That is down again, by the way. I think this is going to be a Starfield situation where the average person doesn't probably like what they're seeing, and the score is just going to go down. 100k players. Let's see how the graph looks. That's actually not a significantly high decrease. Well, admittedly, in 3 days, it has lost 1/3 of its player base. Maybe I'm speaking too soon. Well, we're gonna see the second weekend's coming up, and that's gonna be probably a big thing, right? But yeah, it seems like we are already experiencing a 1/3 player drop in 3 days, which is bad. That typically for good games, 1/3 player drop you see like in a week or 2 weeks. And in 3 weeks it's near 50, in 4 weeks it's near 50, maybe in 5 weeks it's near 50. And then in 2 months it should be around, a 1/3. And then in 4 months it should be like around below 10%, like 8-ish%. That is roughly kind of the average, I would say, for most games. Doesn't apply to a lot of AAA shit, though, but that's just so you get a rough estimate. I have seen many of a Steam graph, because, this is what we do here. We look at Steam charts. So yeah, Borderlands already bleeding players very fast. I mean, that's probably not the dream, losing 1/3 of your players in 3 days. Oof.
every time that some absolute idiot decides that it's their turn to speak out of line on social media and make an entire team look like idiots. And while Gearbox's response to the situation has not been adequate, at least it hasn't been insulting like Randy Pitchford's. Borderlands 4 is a pretty quality game, in my opinion, that was made by a team that just wants people to enjoy the game. And sure, they messed up on the way. They messed up pretty bad on that performance side. But all in all, they've made a good game, and I don't believe that they should be punished for Randy Pitchford being Randy.
People who are overly positive are just gonna say Borderlands is good. People who are more about realism, not in the actual realism sense of a game, but more realistic like me, are gonna call Borderlands 4 bad. It's just a thing that we have to deal with.
Randy Pitchford, which is to say, a complete idiot. However, I would completely understand if somebody read Randy Pitchford's comments and said, I do not want to support absolutely anything that this man has even touched slightly. And in that case, yeah, laugh from the sidelines. It is laugh worthy. I hope that this was entertaining, this little segment, and you can move on. Or you can also hear my review of Borderlands or the actual game coming up now, if you would like to, just for curiosity.
Hell yeah, we want that.
Speaking of which, Borderlands 4 is pretty good. So look, the bigger innovations that have been done to the game are mainly that it is now an open world, and some of the structural changes to how builds work. There's a lot more potential creativity and chaos that can go around with those builds, including the 4 new characters, of which I chose.
God, I love the DEI character list, okay? By the way, again, I'm gonna remind everyone how absolutely atrocious this was. If you haven't seen the first released teasers for Borderlands 4, you do not know that she was literally sub-Saharan African black. I mean, literally dark. She was black. He was extremely... I mean, this is literally an Indian, by the way, but he was still also extremely black. And even the one white dude was made to not look white. And by the way, he's also kind of made to not look white as much as possible. So there you kind of have it. Also, her attacks are rainbows. Her skills are literally rainbows. And she's the witch. That's, by the way, a woke ideology thing that women are witches and that's to be empowered and whatnot. So they literally refer to her as a bitch specifically. Not a siren, but the bitch. And she likes to flip people off and whatnot. It is extremely cringe and it is extremely bad. But it's hilarious how absolutely all of these characters got Pedro Pascal'd so goddamn hard. They absolutely got... What's the girl's name from Spider-Man and Dune? That one? She gets wider every single movie she participates in. That one. Dude, after the initial release, they got... Oh my god, the Pedro Pascalization of characters... Absolutely just hilarious. You gotta love it.
4 new characters, of which I chose Amon and played the game on hard difficulty. All the new characters seem to be slight twists on things that have existed in the series before, but with their own little flavor. And of course, the highlight of it all is the loot. Scouring the open world, doing different activities, and finding different places to farm bosses that drop really cool.
Is he in the end game? Because the end game is pretty bad, most people are saying. There's literally not enough to do. It's all very repetitive.
Guns or armor or equipment for you to craft your way into becoming an absolute menace. Just a walking tank of destruction. And that core of the game is really damn solid. A lot of the areas of the open world and the dungeon structures are very fun. A lot of those activities feel meaningful, and I'm excited every time I find one, because most of the time the biggest reward from them is getting to fight a new boss. And so far, most of it...
I think that this is gonna suffer a lot of the same problems as Diablo 4. I'm actually very interested if Gearbox is gonna mess this up and go Diablo 4 route. You know, Diablo 4 effectively, their initial open world lacked a couple of things, but then they completely went the wrong way about it. And I'm really wondering if Borderlands is also going to do the exact same thing.
because I haven't explored everything in the open world. The bosses are really damn good, and the loot that you can get from them is really, really fun and gets you sparking that creativity of what if I did this other thing with what I just got? Could I do this thing? And then you hunt down more loot in order to make that idea a reality, and you get to revel in the chaos and the overpoweredness of it all. The only other problem there does have to do with the tone and the comedy.
The loot definitely seems, well, the best part, obviously. It's a looted shooter. But I don't know. I think a lot of the designs for guns are kind of bad currently.
And that is, the game is kind of buggy in a couple of places, specifically around scripted sequences with NPCs. Just a lot of awkward silences as people walk around and then deliver their lines, and then you walk behind them and stuff. And that kind of does ruin a lot of moments, because it turns out that timing is a pretty important part of comedy. And that does kind of sting. But everything else, especially the highlights of the game, things from the vaults to those bosses to the big achievements and the progression of it all, it's just really damn good. And I'm having a great time with it. And I should stop playing it because there's other things that require my attention, and I'm sad that I have to. But the world keeps on turning. It's still Borderlands. It's just now got a weird grappling hook and a bit of schmovement with air dashes and gliding, and an open world to explore for those different bosses and activities. But the main structure of the game is that you have to go to 3 different regions, basically nice little forest region, tundra ice forest region, and desert region, fire beaches region. And you complete main quests for the different factions there until you head to a final boss, which is, as per usual in the series, set up at the very start, the Timekeeper. Along that path, you will explore these regions, head into smaller, more controlled dungeon areas, solve some little environmental puzzles, figure your way around some climbing ones, and obtain a ton of loot to shoot things with. And in that process, all of it is pretty damn good, and it is refined down to a T at this point.
Yeah, the open world where you're actually doing things, not just running around, seems pretty decent.
Including the feeling of progression, or how those weapons fit in with each other, and just how good everything is with its feedback. Honestly, the only problem that I find with Borderlands 4 so far is that, from what I understand, starting a new character in endgame, skipping the campaign, is not working as it should, and some of the endgame systems don't seem to be working as they should either. But there are free content updates that intend to remedy that. It's not an excuse though. Those things, in my opinion.
Oh right, there's what you call it? Battle pass coming, or no, there's a roadmap.
Should be there.
I haven't even checked that out. It's probably atrocious.
Day one, not 1 month later, but I can't really complain that much because
True. Anyone who says that, oh, they're gonna add it later, that's not an excuse. You're just giving these developers time to make the game finished, because it wasn't actually finished. If ever someone is telling you, oh, they're gonna add it at some point, you shouldn't be mad about it, that is completely defeatist mentality, and that just brings us to a worse state as consumers. That's literally it.
because I feel like the core experience of getting to late game is incredibly satisfying and meaty as well. The other real big complaint is that as a Borderlands game, it's not that great of a shooter. It's pretty great as an ARPG shooter, but not just as a shooter. And it does take quite a while to get started. I would say that anywhere between 8 to 10 hours until you really have access to all of the different equipment slots, and you start getting guns that have affixes that are more creative in how they interact with the rest of your gear to go absolutely crazy. But until that point, you're kind of just playing an okay-ish shooter for a pretty long while without...
Well, it's the best shooter that Borderlands has ever been. Okay? Is it the best in shooters in general? No. But it's I don't think that anyone's gonna just call the shooting bad per se, right? I really don't think anyone is that stuck up.
really interacting with the things that make Borderlands special.
Well, the people who have a reason why they don't like the shooting, that's probably valid. But in general, just saying that the shooting is bad, probably not true.
Which is that loot-based ARPG stuff. Once that does get into full swing, if you do go through that initial period that's maybe not that enjoyable, once you start getting guns with crazy affixes that interact and synergize with other parts of your gear to go absolutely crazy into chain reaction builds of insanity, man, the loot bug kind of is there, and everything else sustains it very well. Exploring the open world, finding those bosses, doing the little puzzles, and even just looking around at some of the cool stuff that there is enough to keep you engaged as you follow that treadmill, and that treadmill is enjoyable and fun, with plenty of guns that do crazy things and little jokes that will motivate you to continue forward if you like the humor here. And that is the final piece of the puzzle that is very much worth talking about. The writing style and the tone of Borderlands 4 is very different from previous Borderlands games, and in my opinion, better. It's not that the old Borderlands games didn't have good writing, I just feel like they were of a time and place.
Borderlands 3 definitely did not have good writing. Borderlands 1 and 2, you can go back to it and it's gonna be, no, this is fine, this is completely fine. This is not a situation where we're looking at it with rose-tinted goggles or anything like that. It just was better.
And that time and place went.
4 is better than 3, but it's still really, really... No, wait, no. 4 is worse than 3, excuse me. Got my things that I wanted to say differently. 4 is worse than 3, because 3 actually has... The main villain is bad, but at least the main villain exists. The Timekeeper is easily the worst villain to ever be made in gaming.
And that style became boring and old. Gone is a lot of the annoying, abrasive toilet humor and claptrap inanely screaming in your ear, and it's been changed for a little bit more tasteful jokes, less referential.
More referential. I mean, listen, okay, you meet Claptrap and he spouts like 15 references instantaneously. The references now only are not Zoomer humor, but Boomer humor.
Less reliant on social things and more on just other games, a little bit on its own writing chops, and a lot more on its own internal universe and making references to previous characters and things from the series. Overall, it's less annoying, and it actually can be pretty funny. I've had some of those more genuine comedy writings around characters make me smile, and I do like the characterization of a lot of them, including Amon, the character that I chose, which does consistently make me smile with his approach to...
I don't. Amon is horrible. All of the characters are probably generic. But Amon starts as an, I wanna die in glorious battle with blood and whatever. And then later on it's like, pixies are pixies and they're good because they're pixies. It's stupid. It's stupid. Okay, let's not go into the writing. It's horrible. There's nothing you can do to convince me otherwise. Anyway, that was Mug Thief 10 out of 10. Bye!